Welcome to Geek Philosophy, where it's all geek to me. Every philosophy begins with a lens, not conclusions, not arguments, a lens, a way of seeing that decides what even counts as important. Some philosophies zoom in so close that intentions are everything. Others zoom so far out that systems outweigh individuals entirely, and most of us shift between those scales without noticing. That's the core idea of this channel. To understand the universe, you use a telescope. To understand biology, a microscope. To solve a mystery, a magnifying glass. But to understand the human condition, we use stories. Fiction doesn't distort reality. It magnifies it until it becomes readable. Take this image I created, a reimagining of Raphael's School of Athens. But in the center, instead of ancient philosophers, we find the world's finest. This isn't just aesthetic play, it's a philosophical map. The microscope, the magnifying glass, the telescope. 3 ways of examining truth, morality, and meaning. And, strangely enough, superheroes sometimes explain this better than textbooks. Philosophy is often treated as abstract, but it never really is. It grows out of lived conditions. Power, fear, scarcity, privilege, trauma, stability. Even our moral systems may reflect the worlds we inhabit, and 3 of the clearest modern moral archetypes are Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. Not because comics are childish, but because mythology has always been philosophy in costume. Superman is shaped by excess power. He can hear suffering across continents, stop wars, catch falling planes. For most people, ethics is constrained by inability. For Superman, the danger is overreach, the temptation to believe that if you can do something, you should. That's why Superman stories constantly return to restraint, not just strength, control. Because the moment outcomes alone justify his actions, he becomes something far more dangerous than any villain. This is where something like deontological ethics emerges, a framework associated with Immanuel Kant, where morality is grounded in duty and principle, not consequences. Some actions remain wrong, even if they produce good outcomes. For Superman, that matters, because pure consequentialism at his level collapses too easily into surveillance, coercion, and benevolent tyranny justified by results. So Superman becomes a symbol of power deliberately bound by principle. Not because principle is efficient, but because unchecked efficiency becomes control.
Batman moves in the opposite direction. He is not too powerful. He is painfully aware of limitation. He cannot save everyone. Every night in Gotham is triage. Every choice carries loss. Scarcity changes moral thinking. When resources are limited, ethics becomes pragmatic. Batman constantly asks, what minimizes harm? What prevents escalation? What sacrifice is necessary now? That pressure pulls him toward consequential reasoning. Utilitarianism, associated with Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, judges actions by outcomes, the greatest good for the greatest number. Batman often operates in that space, not because he lacks principles, but because principles alone don't survive Gotham, and this matters. Our moral systems are shaped by conditions. Scarcity produces trade-offs. Trade-offs produce consequential thinking. Batman is what morality looks like under pressure, trauma, and exhaustion, not cold logic, necessity. But there's a third framework neither Superman nor Batman fully captures: virtue ethics.
And no superhero embodies it more clearly than Wonder Woman. She's not defined primarily by restraint or calculation. She's defined by character. Not what rule do I follow, not what outcome do I maximize, but what kind of person do I become? For Aristotle, ethics was not a checklist. It was cultivation, the development of a person into someone capable of flourishing. Wisdom, courage, temperance, justice. Virtues are habits formed through practice. You don't become virtuous by knowing it. You become virtuous by living it. That is Wonder Woman. She is powerful but not domineering, compassionate but not naive, a warrior but not consumed by violence. She balances strength and mercy, truth and compassion, justice and peace. And her morality is deeply relational. She doesn't just save people. She believes they can become better, not through fear, not through control, but through moral growth. So now the map shifts. Superman asks what principles must never be violated. Batman asks what outcome minimizes suffering. Wonder Woman asks, what kind of person should I become? 3 heroes, 3 moral lenses, 3 visions of ethics and morality. And this raises an uncomfortable question. What if our moral philosophies are not purely discovered truths, but adaptive responses to our circumstances? We like to think philosophy is objective reasoning, but history suggests otherwise. The secure can afford moral purity. The desperate often cannot. Even ethics may partly be survival strategy turned into principle. That doesn't make it false, but it makes it human. Superman resembles Plato. He represents aspiration, the belief that morality exists above us and pulls us upward. Wonder Woman aligns closely with Aristotle. Virtue is learned, not given, and it exists in balance. Batman maps onto Stoicism. Suffering is unavoidable. What matters is not control over events, but control over response. Batman turns trauma into discipline, fear into preparation, grief into mission. He cannot change the past, but he can shape what he becomes, and that is why he resonates so strongly. He is survival as philosophy, and this is what geek philosophy is really about. Not just asking whether ideas are true, but asking what lens produced them, what conditions shaped them, what fears, hopes, or privileges make certain ideas feel obvious. Because philosophy is rarely just logic. It is biography, history, psychology, narrative. And sometimes the clearest way to see that is through stories we pretend are just entertainment. So on this channel, we'll use comics, films, books, and mythology as philosophical tools, sometimes microscopes, sometimes telescopes, sometimes magnifying glasses held up to ourselves. Because stories don't just entertain us, they reveal the lenses we were already using. And once you see the lens, you start seeing philosophy everywhere. This is Geek Philosophy. Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And until next time, don't just watch, think.